welcome back to Screen Queen Stream. You all know me, I'm Jessica Cameron, and today I am very excited because I have the very talented, wonderful Canadian filmmaker, Raynor Shima.
Raynor Shima. She got it the first time.
I'm so paranoid about mispronouncing people's names. Welcome. So if you don't know Raynor's work, you probably do, and you're probably just not quite aware of it because he is one of the people behind Luchagore Productions.
Yes, that is very true. I'm usually the guy behind all the camera work. As most people know, Gigi Saul Guerrero is the director and co-creator and co-founder of Luchagore as well, and it's something that we've all been working together for a very long time. Also, to mention another co-founder, Luke Bramley, who's not here right now, but that's us. That's me. All the work that you guys see is all the work from Gigi, myself, and Luke.
Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys are not familiar with Gigi, obviously I will link her information down below, but also what rock have you been living under. So I want to start in because I feel like a lot of people are not familiar with how you got your start. So let's go back to like the early years. You as a child, did you like films? Were you into that world? Did you see yourself becoming a filmmaker? Like, what was your childhood in Canada like?
Well, it's too funny. I remember like one of the first oh my god, how do I even put it? First real scary movie. This is we really started getting into horror. I think I was about 3 years old. My dad, he was just like, you want to watch a scary movie? And I still remember to this day, and I was like, yeah, like 3 years old, right? And so what's he do? He puts on Alien.
Oh my god, I love you.
And I'm just totally, my mom's away at work or something like that. So just me and my dad at night and sitting here watching Alien, and it's just the show's going on, and the first time, the chest burst scene comes out, I'm just sitting there freaking out, and my dad's just like, oh, it's not real, you're gonna be fine. And, literally just not even consoling me in any way. He was basically just saying it's fine, it's not real. And I was just terrified for 3 months after that. I remember my mom found out that my dad showed me that movie and was just livid with him, basically saying how could you do that to him? He's too young to be watching something like that. But yeah, it was kind of, that led me into what else is out there, and I think I stopped watching horror movies for 2 years after that because I was trying to
till you were 5.
Yeah, pretty much till I was 5. And then we started getting, my older brother kind of started getting me into some, a little bit more, different things, and Jaws, and then Terminator, and it was those small things, and then I really started getting into the old school stuff of Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh my God, what else is that? I'm trying to even think.
Was this before you were 12?
It's probably much around there. Yeah, it was something I went into this horror phase, and I know for people that are kind of. I'm in my middle 30s now, but back in the days you can go to VHS rental house. We had Blockbuster, of course, was Rogers Video. So you could go to the store and you could rent horror movies, right? You could pick and choose, and that's what we were doing when we were young. And up to when I was 13, me and my friends were always, what's the next scary thing we could watch, and what can we get ourselves entertained with that we haven't seen in a while? And yeah, you just find the weird and abnormal stuff. I just miss those days of going to the video store and renting a VHS video and returning it 3 days later, or never returning it, right?
Now, side note, we'll get a little bit sidetracked because I have a question. Mm-hmm. In Ontario, we still have rental stores or convenient locations that rent DVDs and Blu-rays because the internet Wi-Fi isn't great when you get into Northern Ontario.
Oh, what?
So it's still a very common thing. Is it common in Vancouver?
It's dying out, incredibly. I think there's one in Vancouver, a local, and that's just in Vancouver. It's called Black Dog Video, and they have, I think they're one of the only still standing video rental stores for DVDs, VHS, video games still, and yeah, there's not much. It's all gone. Oh, everything is completely digital now.
In my hometown of Owen Sound, Ontario, which is 21,000 people, we have at least 3 rental stores and at least 3 other convenience stores in the area that I know of that rent Blu-rays and DVDs.
Oh my god.
Because again, the Wi-Fi is so spotty, you can't really, in some places you can't stream.
Wow.
And the more north you go, the worse it becomes. I was shocked when I realized that there were 3 full-blown rental stores. And one of them took over the old Blockbuster store. So it's kind of an indie
store,
an indie rental store in like the corpse of what was Blockbuster.
Wow. It's amazing to see that, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's still some places, I guess, that still have it, right? Just Vancouver is definitely, you know, annulling it all out. I think even best if you go to the, you know, some of the big, like, you know, computer electronic stores that are selling DVDs, you're seeing less and less of it now. It's almost harder to purchase them physically. You got to order it online if you really want to find something, right? So, yeah, it's crazy.
Now, going back, you said that you were watching all these horror movies as a child. When was it that you first thought that making movies was what you wanted to do with your career?
Oh, I think I have to say, right after high school, I was really considering making, you know, I was like, I always loved movies, you know, growing up with movies, and just not even horror movies, just movies in general. I loved storytelling, and I loved that. And I think just right out of high school, I was considering taking that leap and to looking at a film school. But I think at that time, my neighbor actually said, "Do you want a really good paying job?" And I said, "Sure." And he's like, you know, come with me. I'll teach you kind of like, you know, for a week and see if you like it and if you can handle it. So I actually went into actually doing like a very like blue collar kind of style job of, you know, changing commercial truck tires. And so I got paid good. I moved up the ranks really fast, and I just kind of sidebarred it for a while. And I think I was with that company for about like 6-7 years until I decided to take a leave of absence at work and go traveling across Southeast Asia and to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. And that's when I really had this, you know, epiphany of like seeing a different culture, exploring a different part of the world. I was just like, oh my God, there's so much to tell. And there's so many kind of stories, unique things. And I'm a very big history buff as well. And you know, Cambodia really opened it up for me. And for most people that don't know what happened in Cambodia in like 1980s was like the Cambodian genocide, which was something that I got to experience, you know, obviously the aftermath of what happened, but just like what was the remnants of what would happen during that time. And it was just so impactful to me that I was just like, wow, like these stories that I just really felt that could be told, and there's really not much about it. I was like, I want to get back into filmmaking. That's when I was like, I want to pursue it. Like I know it's going to be a challenge. I kind of, you know, realize the circumstances when you kind of take the turn in changing your career of what you want to do and going into filmmaking. It's going to be a, you know, not easy. It's going to be one of those challenging goals that you have to really pursue and be very motivated to keep on going with it. And that was I think I was about 25 years old when I did that. And I was like, quit my job, sign up for film school, and there we go.
So let's talk about film school.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people have really strong feelings about whether or not everyone should or whether or not people shouldn't. What are your thoughts? What did you gain about it, and what was the best part of your education? And also, how long was it? Because I think it's the Canadian educational system is different than the American one.
Yes.
So
I actually went to, you know, there's actually a couple film schools. I think two of the biggest one still right now are Vancouver Film School and Capilano University motion. What's it called? Gigi? Bosa? I know you're gonna get it. Oh, by the way. No, what's it called though?
What? What's called what?
We might have the beautiful and talented Gigi looking.
What's it? What's your question?
What's the North Vancouver's film school? Capilano what?
You mean my school?
Yeah.
You can't remember the name of your competing school,
Bosa.
Raynor?
No, they had it.
Well, the Bosa Center. Bosa Center for Film and Animation. Or Capilano University.
Yeah, but it's the Bosa Center for Film and Animation. So yeah, sorry. We can...
Boo!
Yeah.
You suck, Raynor!
Oh my God. Too funny. But yeah, I'll retrack. So yeah, so basically in Vancouver, you know, the top two film schools was Vancouver Film School and Capilano University, Bosa for Film and TV. I ended up going to Vancouver Film School because it was actually a 1-year intensive program. I really didn't want to put in 4 years in filmmaking, and I really felt, you know, as myself, I probably would have lost a lot of interest in it. But to go back on, you know, at that time, and I did that in 2011, so that's 8 years ago now. You know, I did a lot of research on both schools, and they actually kind of had a very similar styles, but different teachers and different progresses. One was just 1 year intensive, and the other was 4 years. I really found that the curriculum with teachers that were in at the time, and I was doing my research on them, they had a lot to offer. So I was like, okay, I really felt comfortable just doing a 1 year intensive, and I put my mindset to it, and saved up my money. I basically was like, okay, not going to work. I'm just going to strictly focus on school and whatever projects are dealt with during that time, and give it a shot. And I think to say is like, going on what you said about like some people have the questions of like, should I go to film school or should I not? And it really kind of, I think, and this is all very subjective, I think it's something where, you really have to believe in that. Like, do you think you need it, or do you, can you, I think the biggest thing is, can you commit to it? I think that's one of the biggest things with filmmaking and going to film school, is that film school is also a safe place to fail as well. And, if you want to try different departments in filmmaking, whether it be producing, directing, writing, cinematography, you get those chances to feel them out. Versus like just going outside of, not going to film school and basically just learning yourself, or watching YouTube videos, or watching other filmmakers, or watching movies and trying to, break them down in that sense. I think it's great for people that, don't really know what they want to be in. So for film school, you definitely have the opportunity to take those chances in these departments and really kind of hone them in. And you have teachers that are, well experienced and have also worked in the industry, kind of guide you in a way. And if you have this kind of natural talent for directing, you can really focus on that in film school. Or, even outside of film school, if you have a natural talent for directing, you could just be working with more and more actors and building up your resume as you go throughout. But I really, for myself, I was, I went into directing and producing. I love directing. I haven't done enough of it yet, but I really found that I love to produce. Like that was like my calling card. And my producing teacher, Carrie Green, was, that kind of person that really made me want to go forward with it and focus on, pursuing that element of what I've been doing so far. And I've always enjoyed it. And, as a producer, it was something to be creative and working with the budgets, working with everybody, knowing everything in that sense, and overseeing it all. And not to say just micromanaging people is just, I think a good producer is definitely somebody that, is really, lenient with the crew and basically entrusting everybody to do their job the way they need to do it, and, not micromanaging them in a sense. And then again, getting the director's vision out there as much as they can, and working with the director on creating a great piece of work. Yeah. I think that's enough. Is that good?
I think it depends on the type of learner that you are.
Yeah.
I also think school, for me anyways, in my opinion, it's great for a platitude of things, not just learning the technique, which is so useful, but I think you learn responsibility.
Yeah.
You learn the importance of deadlines. You learn what happens when you do not meet the deadlines, repercussions, discipline.
Yeah.
You learn having to wake up super early when you don't want to, having to stay super late. Mm-hmm. Having 10 deadlines that all happen to be in the same 48 hours, and it's out of your control, and you just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I love all of that.
Mm-hmm. So
I think that can be a value. So I went to a 4-year program for fashion design and merchandising.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't go to film school, but the lessons I learned, I still use today.
Yeah.
Even though I don't obviously do anything with my actual degree other than play with wardrobe occasionally on film things.
I'm just like, I like it.
So if you're a filmmaker and then Gigi and you're like, oh crap, this outfit broke and our wardrobe person is busy, call me and I'll fix it. And you'll see me like sewing on my own sets because something's not perfect.
But there's the things that we got to do ourselves, right? And I think it's definitely, if you're able to do it, it's great because again, you're knowing what to do and fix it on the fly. If somebody's isn't available, you're capable of doing it.
In the film world, you have to be prepared to do anything.
That is one of the biggest. That is one of the biggest things in the indie film world, especially on low budget stuff. You have to wear many hats, right? And you have to entrust that people are going to also wear many hats because it's just hard for 3 to 4 or 5 people to make a big show. Unless you really carefully plan it out. And sure, you can do it in the right circumstances. But majority of the time, it's you have to really entrust your crew, whether it be 10 or plus more, and really to be very transparent on your vision of your film with everybody. And I think that's what makes a great successful film, and not just not the storytelling and the acting and the cinematography, but also be very, 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 before you even go into production, is like breaking down everything with your cast and your crew, and everybody going on the day, knowing what's happening way beforehand. It just totally changes how you shoot on the day. I think it's one of those, great things that, if we're gonna get back into like film school, is like, yeah, they kind of teach you these little methods and stuff like that you may not know if you try to just go outside of that, not cheat the system, but go around that. You will learn the hard way when you start working with more and more experienced people. So I think it really kind of gives you that testament to know how to, properly run a set and organize. And like you said, kind of going back to, disciplining yourself to be up early and staying up late, because you're probably going to be working 16 hours sometimes, right? 16, 18, we've done 20 hours. Oh my God.
And it sucks, but you do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do, right? And you get it done. I think that's one of the biggest things. We see a lot of people that, they'll shoot something and they'll never come out. They'll just be like, well, I'm still working on it. And it's just like, get it done. Even if you have to do a day job to keep working, get it done. If you can just get a couple and less than an hour just to take a crack at it every day. Don't just procrastinate. I think one of the biggest things is procrastination.
Agreed.
I think we all do procrastinate. I do it every now and then too, and I have to get myself to snap out of it, right? So it's one of those things that you just really want to, build these habits of just going forward and taking 2 steps forward, not like 2 steps backwards. You really want to feel that you're, doing something that's going to have a good product come out.
Oh, completely. I also think some of the best indie filmmakers are the ones that don't have the ego, because at the end of the day, if you're doing anything indie, and which typically is lower budget, you can't have an ego. Like, you just can't. You could be the director and the executive producer, the person putting up all the money, and you also might be the person at 4 a.m. picking up the trash and cleaning up craft services or doing whatever, because somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
And it's more. I've been on sets where it's like, it's more important that like my PAs get at least 8 hours of sleep than it is for them to stay. And I'd much rather let me do that, because I know I'm going to be bright-eyed and chippy, because I'm, it's my movie, it's my baby. But let you go get your rest, because you need it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, and that's a big thing too, right? And if people are coming out on their own time, and you're only basically paying them for food, you really want to treat them with the utmost respect, because they're definitely coming out to support you and help you. But you also have to be very great, appreciative that they're out there working with you, so they have a really good attitude towards when you're out there on the day and working. Because some things get crazy. Sometimes things get hectic, and you can start panicking or you can start freaking out, and that's not the kind of things you need to be doing on set, because that can definitely bring morale down. And I find that if you start, that ego starts growing and you start just having a really big attitude, it reflects on the rest of your team and stuff like that. And people, they may not want to work with you after. Right? So I think it's just like, we always have on our sets, be very appreciative of everyone that's on our shows. And we always, feed them really well. I think that's one of the biggest things. If you have no money, and if you have a little bit of money, obviously you need to put money towards your film, but also to feeding your crew, put more money towards the food, and good food, because your crew will be so happy if they're being fed well, and just not like pizza and like Subway sandwiches and stuff like that. But if you can, get some home cooked meals, or begging people's mums or somebody to give you Gigi's parents was cooking for us for so many years, until Romy finally gave up and said no. It was too funny. She was like, I'm not cooking for you guys anymore. Your crew keeps getting bigger. So
She'll still do it. She
still went. No, she did it last time, Max. No. When was the last time she did it? Oh yeah, she did do it. But she was kind of mad. She's like, I had to come at like 5 a.m. And I was like,
but she'd probably be more mad if you didn't ask her to do it.
Yeah.
Bing, bing, bing.
It's true.
We have a winner. Yes.
She has turned us down once though, before. But yeah, she was like, no, that's too many. But and again, if you can, it's just something that I find that really, filmmaking and production, it's just a huge cogwheel, with many moving parts, that you need to have the right people within you to, make a really good film together, and it hopefully flows well. And that's just not from filming, it's from post-production as well. Finding those right people that are willing to work with you on your vision and bringing it to life on the cutting room floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also find, for me, I always say, figure out what everyone's like. Everybody has one or two things that just makes their day better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they're usually not things that are a lot of money. So, for example, when I cast Heather, Heather really likes chocolate-covered cranberries and blueberries and the little Starbucks in the can, which are like $7.99 for a 4-pack. So, and not like too expensive for me to buy for the whole crew, but enough that I can tuck these things and buy them just for her and then use that when she, like, I see the fact that she's a little bit lethargic or like, you know, the long days are getting to her. I'll be like, here's a gift from me to you. And she's just so perked up. You know, I had a DP once where his thing was those Mountain Dew Kickstart energy drinks. He just loved them.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's like we all have those little things where they just make us feel a little bit more better. They give us a little bit more pep in the step. I was on another set that was going horribly awry, and I said to the director, I was just an actor on this one, but I was like, hey, people are getting really tired, and they're, you know, here's my thoughts. I always do this. Like, what's one thing everybody can get? He was like, get me a list of their one things, and I will make sure we get them.
Oh, wow.
And one of them was, because we were shooting in the house, but I was shocked. It was a crew member, and he said, you know what I really would like? Just one of those styrofoam coolers filled with ice and drinks that are ice cold. The drinks are coming from the fridge, but there's a difference between fridge cold and ice cold.
That's true.
And ice cold just makes me happy. And literally, like, I think, like, the director was like, why did you, this is great. He's like, I $36, and everyone's, like, super energetic for the next 5 days. I was like, yeah, I know. Like, it's often not the money thing. It's, like, those little touches.
It's little simple things, right?
And asking the question, like, what is your thing? What is that one thing that would make you feel better? You know, I had another actor who she was like, you know what? I didn't bring B vitamins. And B vitamins, cool, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I can afford B vitamins. Fuck yeah.
Well, that's the biggest thing too, right? Is like, yeah, asking people what do you need, or, you know, for instance, going on one of our shoots that we did last year, called We Came from the Sea, our lead actor, and it was just pretty much himself the whole show. We had this amazing location in West Vancouver. I think, you know, we paid a pretty good chunk of money to, you know, shoot at this location, and our actor, but he actually lived quite far from the location, so really he's just like, you know, can I get a ride back? And I was like, well, would you like to stay in this, like, multi-million-dollar house for the 2 days that we're shooting here? And he's like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do that instead. And he was super happy. He was like waking up every morning with this oceanside view.
Nice.
He was just like super ecstatic. He's like, this is just so great. He's like, can I bring my wife down? And I'm like, sure, man, you can totally do that. I'm like, you know, you're here with us. And he was super happy. He's like, I felt like I was getting into character because I was sleeping here. And I was just like, I think you were just enjoying the really, you know, oceanside property view of West Vancouver, which was amazing, by the way. But yeah, he was just super ecstatic.
Well, we'll call it character work.
Yeah, character. Yeah, he was a method actor. He was sleeping in it, so, right?
I love that. And so you mentioned, like, you found a year intensive. I learned something new today. I didn't realize there was such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
In Canada, if you guys aren't familiar, typically a university degree is a 4-year degree. And then a trade often is a college degree, which is a 2-year.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is often, not always, but a lot of the time, a university degree, by Canadian standards, you have to take other courses that are not directly related to your field of study.
Yeah.
So even though I went to school for fashion design, I had to take psychology, I had to take business, I had to take marketing. Obviously, I love that, so it wasn't a big deal for me. Versus if I were to do the fashion design degree at a trade school, a 2-year college program, it would have just been like fashion design classes pretty much exclusively. So I didn't realize there was a 1 year. How does a 1 year compare to the 2 and 4 year programs? I mean, obviously broad strokes, we're not do like a comparison to like university to university.
It's funny, you know, the 1 year intensive they claim to say is basically like 2 years worth of schooling in one year. So, but it was literally like 6 days a week.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Like 6 days a week, you know, 9 to 6, pretty much like every day. And then even after that, if you were still dedicated, you'd still be doing, you know, questionnaires or homework or, you know, building shot lists or whatever you were kind of doing. So they had it in 3 quarters. Was it 3 quarters or 4? Every 3 months it was a quarter. Yeah. So 4. So basically it was, yeah, you did 3 months of like your basically beginning of like, you know, learning basically the basics of everything. And then you got into your second quarter. It was basically, you can start honing in on what you wanted to do. So you could pick like 3. It was like directing, producing, or cinematography. And they had like production design as well. and then you can start focusing on those a little more, and then they start becoming more and more honed. I think I'm saying that right. Am I like the third?
Focused.
Yeah, focus. Sorry.
Honed works the same too, but in case you don't know what that means, like
Focused. Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, they're basically just focusing more and more on the departments you want to be in. By like the third and fourth, you're basically choosing two, which you want to focus on. So I took directing and producing, and then like you just really hammer down on those two departments, and you're basically doing all paperworks and watching videos, and you're doing like workshops with directing and producing. That's what I was doing, and it was basically just every day, just learning, breaking down budgets. Oh my god, I had to learn how to break down budgets with movie magic.
But by the way, everybody should know how to do that. I love that you're like forced to do that, because I find that's a huge problem with working with people in Hollywood, because there's a shocking amount of people that don't understand how to do that. And they'll like pick a number in their head. They'll be like, here's a script. We need $375,000. And it's like, did you read the same script? Because you have like a $500,000 car crash scene. Which, don't get me wrong, we can rewrite around that. But like...
Yeah, it was one of the biggest things. Like, obviously like for people that were interested in producing, it was something like I'll delve into more instead of the directing aspect. But it was, looking at... budgets and outside budgets of basically seeing how they got that. And then you basically, I think one of our biggest things that we had to do was take a feature script and try to break it down basically in every single element of the script and calculate, your costs, your days of shooting, makeup effects, special effects, blood. I chose a horror script. There's just so many elements within, breaking down budgets that, you want to be as close as you can. They're never going to be 100% on, right?
But that's why you should have like a 10% buffer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Contingency also, right? So it's really kind of giving you a real world knowledge and testament to before you actually get into the real world. For the 1 year intensive, it just was a huge amount of work. Our class was like kind of divided in terms of like being such an intensive program that, I think we found it was like 50% really tried and 50% didn't try because they weren't really taking it seriously.
Right.
Yeah. So like, that's one of the biggest things I can say. Like if you're looking into film school, there's 1 year intensive, 2, 3, 4, really focus on it.
Well, I think if you're doing any school, that really pissed me off in fashion design too. The number of people that just basically somebody that usually their family, their parents were like, you have to go to school, and they're like, fine, but like not committed to it. I was like, you really should have just leveled with them and be like, look, I'm going to half-ass this. I'm not going to get anything out of it. I'm going to show up 50% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really want to spend this money? Because again, there's no way these parents realized how much class they were missing. I think I missed one class only because I was really sick, because I knew to the dollar how much each class hour cost me.
Exactly.
Because I was working to pay for it, and I was like, even though I worked full time, which is hard. Because also, a little known fact about Canadian education, and I'm sure it's the same over on your neck of the woods. I went to school in Ontario. In Ontario, it's required for a university degree that they give 2 hours of homework, not including tests and exams, for every 1 hour of class.
What?
Yeah,
Okay,
and we actually had 30 to 45% more hours of class than the comparable university in America. So
wow.
America was typically 9 to 11 hours of classes. We had 19.
Oof.
And that was just for a normal sized workload. I was like, also fun little facts, when you do university in Canada, you're paying for 80 to 120%. So you pay a flat fee, and if you take 80, you're still paying that price if you're paying 120. So at one point I was like, I'm going to maximize the dollars and try to take 120, and nearly died with like the full-time work, and I was like, no, can't do this.
Yeah, right?
I will literally go insane. But yeah, so it's like so much more intensive than like our American counterparts often. But you said it wasn't quite 2 hours work, but I guess
no, it was whatever they had given, prior to the end of the class. It was, tests or, reviewing a book or, watching a movie or, breaking them down at home kind of thing. But like some people just wouldn't come back like, no, I never did it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well.
Oh, the number of people that did it too. Oh, it used to piss me off.
You're just like, oh my God, like you're paying, even a 1 year program was quite expensive. I think it's gone up significantly already, right? So it was just like, you know, you don't want to waste your time. And, you know, I'm working with another director as well, and it's funny because you know, Gigi went to school as well. We went to rival film schools, but this other director I'm working with.
Wait, you work with other directors? I'm
Yeah.
so confused. Okay, Kara.
I do. He's. I'm just bringing it in
There
because
is the only one.
he's self-taught.
Oh my
Self-taught.
god, I love that.
So, and it's funny, like, you know, so I have, you know, Gigi, who we all went to, you know, our rival film schools, and then my other director, basically, who is self-taught, and he was just like, one day I just picked up a camera and I started filming, and I love it. And then, but like, he watched movies before, and then he started researching, and he started, you know, breaking down movies and see what he liked, and like, what movies he liked that he felt he could have a voice to create his own shorts with. And yeah, he's super talented, right? And, you know, so, and again, going back to, you know, how you feel fit, if that's the way you want to go, then, you know, really think into it. I think biggest is finding if that film school is the right fit for you. And again, and if you are mentally prepared for it, and physically prepared,
And
too.
financially prepared.
And financially prepared.
I love that
as
you
well.
saved money and then decided to focus on that for a year. I think that's such a powerful way to do it. And also, like, so smart of you to understand your strengths and weaknesses. To be like, nope, this is worth it. Here's what I'm going to do to make that happen. Love that. I'm a big fan of, like, knowing who you are before you spend tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because, like, you know, if I was to do it back when I was 19, I don't know, would I had that same mentality? I could have been the guy that just didn't really care, and maybe I wouldn't be filmmaking after more. But, like, as I let myself kind of age over time and you know, do a lot of other things and you know, have a good job and, you know, do some traveling, I felt like I was, you know, well matured enough that I can, like, okay, I can take this responsibility on and really dig into it, and, you know, really kind of take that leap of faith in filmmaking and really go for it. And, you know, here we are, what, 9 years later now. So it's, you know, slowly, surely, we're all moving on up. And it's always great to see, you know, people, even if they're not just doing things in film, but they're also doing stuff, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch or, you know, I guess Vine's gone and stuff like that. But people taking you know, film and media stuff in a whole different direction. And that's the great thing about filmmaking. It's blown up, you know?
Completely.
It's crazy.
You can now buy a 4K camera for $400.
Exactly. And you couldn't get that 8 years ago. We were on Canon 60Ds, you know, shooting 1080p. Now everybody's, you know, got 4K, well, iPhones now, you know, you can make anything. And it's the crazy thing about it is that you don't need all the necessary film equipment to make something anymore. And I really seeing this kind of growth in young talent as well, really kind of getting out there and pushing themselves to come up with unique ideas. We've seen some cool stuff. Yeah.
So what was the very first narrative film project you worked on? Obviously, I know that you did commercials before that. If you guys are not familiar, in my opinion, and we could also discuss this as well, commercial and narrative are two very different processes. They're actually very different environments.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, the sets just feel night and day different.
Because I got to be there for like 1 or 2 days, right? And not like 16 days. People are like, oh, by the end, like, oh my God, I want to get out of here.
Yeah. And they're usually so, like, much better paid. Like, commercials are usually much better paid.
If you want,
so people are, like, happy to be there.
Right, quick cash grab. Yeah, it's a quick turnaround gig, but it's super fun. Sorry, what was the question?
Do you remember your first narrative?
Oh, my
project?
first narrative?
And was it something you did in film school? And can we find a link to it so I can link it?
Oh my God. No, actually, so the first project I ever made was called The Sandwich, and it was like
The Sandwich?
It was like about an obsessive compulsive disorder man who basically has a problem with cleaning his hands, and he tries to make the sandwich, but every time he's, you know, building his sandwich, he's always like getting some like dirty stuff on there, and he's like always constantly trying to clean it, and he finally ends up running out of rubber gloves, and then he goes like searching, and he finds like 2 pairs of condoms, and he slaps them on, and he finally builds it, but I guess the condoms were so slippery, and it actually was by like fluke chance. He was actually holding them in his hand, and the condoms ripped, but like it like exploded the sandwich, and that was like my final shot. So we screened it at the film school, but and I was trying to get it online, my hard drive went kaput, and I lost it all. I couldn't recover it.
You didn't have a backup?
Couldn't recover it, and that's one thing. Yeah, always back up your stuff.
Always back. I do too, because I've had so many hard drive issues. Because there's never a guarantee. I also had with my first film 2 weeks before a big screening. my first editor, side note, had cut it on Final Cut 10. Final Cut 10 just came out. I didn't know anything. I didn't know that it was a shit program at the time. Or like, it's no longer shit when it was when it first came out. It's intended for YouTube videos. A $300 editing program intended for people who don't understand editing programs to be able to use a professional like. Now it is.
Pretty,
at the time. So
oh yeah.
it did this fun thing where it did a forced update and it unlinked all of the files and triplicated them and renamed them in a numeric code unrelated to anything. Yeah.
Oh god.
So I had no movie. I had a Premiere.
Oh no.
I had just hundreds of files, and we did it like for 2 weeks, and we had to recut, re-edit, resound, like everything had to be redone because everything was unlinked, and it was just and there was nothing like basically Final Cut 10 when we got them on the phone, and they're like, "You edited a feature film on this? You're not supposed to do that." We're like, "It's done. What do we do now?" And they're like, "Good luck." Like,
oh my god, that's the worst thing they could ever say. Is like, yeah, I don't think you should.
But I only had a backup then. But like, ironically, we had the backups plugged in because there was some of the VFX wasn't on wasn't backed up, so we had to plug all the four. We had all 4 hard drives in, so it did this to all 4 hard drives, and I didn't have like a safety set of masters, which I do now. Where I was like, never gonna happen again.
That's so crazy. Oh my god,
worst moment of my life. So backups, you've had your situation.
Yeah, backups. But besides that one, we actually. So going near the end of film school, we were actually finishing. I was actually helping a final project at our school, and lo and behold, somebody came on our set to be an actor on it, and that was Gigi.
She submitted to a rival film school project.
She was desperate for a role or something, I think.
I'm gonna kill you, Raynor.
I can't remember which one that was.
Yeah, Pirouette.
Pirouette.
I got asked to be in it. Thank you very much.
Anyway, so I met Gigi on our set, and she was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I'm Raynor."
Okay, I need to go to the show. Oh no. So Raynor was all tanned, okay, all like clean shaven, and I was like, okay, who's this Latino? And then he's like, oh, I'm half Japanese. I'm like, even more interesting. So that's how it went. I thought he was Latino. Dreams crushed. Bye.
So yeah, ever since then I've been stuck with Gigi.
And that's why he's losing hair.
Yeah, that too. I haven't seen her in like 6 months, so it's come back. It's a good sign. No, but so Gigi had said, I asked her like, well, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I go to Capilano. I was like, boo. And then she had told me that her and her partner, which is Luke, basically were creating this horror web series, kind of choose your own adventure thing that we were trying to get off for their final project. And it was called Choose Your Victim. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And they're basically like, our final project is coming up like a month later or something like that. And I said, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, I love horror. Like, nobody in Vancouver Film School did horror. So
it was kind of like the black sheep of the film world, right?
It's always been the black sheep. But it's funny. Everybody was doing like comedy, drama, and like very like depressing like art house films. I don't know. Nobody would do horror. Or some people tried to do some action stuff. But like, yeah, nobody really focused on horror. No, that wasn't their thing. So like, I was like, even at one point I was thinking about doing a horror when I was in school, but like, no, but it was so hard to convince people to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So Gigi was like, yeah, we don't have many people helping us on our final project. And I was like, oh, well, I don't mind helping. Like I did set design and stuff like that. So I was pretty hands-on with all that stuff. So she was like, well, okay, well, we'll talk to my partner and we'll see if we can get you on, right? And then I was like a week after, she said, yeah, can you come help us? We need help building the set. And I was like, sure. So it was like literally like 3 of us from Vancouver Film School went to Capilano, and it was just like 3 Vancouver film students like helping Gigi and Luke get their project going. They had some of their other crew, but Gigi had to lie to the school and say, what did you say?
That you guys were first years.
Yeah, we were first years in Capilano, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. They didn't even like bother to ask, right? So it was like, we were like considered the first rival film students to like work together, and I think we kind of spawned some people working together from there. I don't know, we haven't really followed it too much, but I think like the couple years after that, we actually did see some people from Vancouver Film School and Bosa, Capilano working together, which was really cool.
That's awesome,
right? You know, it doesn't really matter what school you go to. You're all there to do the same thing. You're all there to tell a story. You're all, you know, whatever it may be that you're trying to do. You know, it's also to support each other, right? This is not a industry that, you know, it should be a one-man band. And
well, you can't be. There's no such. You really can't be in this
No.
industry.
No.
It takes a village.
Yeah.
It's like worse than raising a child.
Pretty much, yeah. It is like raising like a million childs than anything, right?
And then killing them all. You kill your babies when you make a movie.
Yeah.
You're like, pick and choose your battles.
Exactly. So yeah, no. And then basically, we shot this film, Choose Your Victim, right after they finished their project. We did a Kickstarter campaign after they graduated. So in the summertime, we were like, okay, how are we going to do this? We got to get 8 episodes. We need $10,000. So that was like the first time that we ever dwelled into Kickstarter, and we're trying to finance this project. I think we ended up raising like $1,800 because like we were nobody, we had nothing. You know, I had a friend that could build us a website that could be interactive with the series, and I think we started in September. We carefully planned it out, and yeah, we came out with 8 episodes after 4 months, and we were just all working and putting our money to it. We didn't raise any money. We raised enough to shoot the first pilot episode, and then we were like, okay, how are we going to do this? We got to do this every other week. We got to shoot something and release it. How are we going to do this? And, you know, how are we going to do this with crew? And you know what? That was an amazing kind of experience that, you know, our team believed in us so much that we kept going and going with it. And yeah, I know, basically, so when we got together with Choose Your Victim, it was trying to do something with Kickstarter, raise money. We wanted 10 grand. We did this campaign for like 2 months. We only raised like $1,800. I'm like, okay, well, we got to go with this. We actually had some support from Capilano at the very beginning to do the first episode, and then after that, it was like kind of in our hands, and that's when things got really crazy when we realized that we didn't have enough money to make, you know, all 8 episodes, and we're like, okay, well, we can make the first one. Let's get it out and let's see how it does, and you know, open this website that, you know, people could go to vote who died and how, and basically we went with it, and we just worked our asses off every week. We were working, and then we were just putting our money in from every time. Every 2 weeks came in, we were getting paychecks and just throwing some money into the next episode. And you know, people got into it, right? It wasn't, you know, we weren't expecting a huge hit or anything like that, and it wasn't really a huge hit. But I think at the end of it, you know, it took us literally 4 months to shoot all 8 episodes and interact with the people that actually were, you know, involved with it. I think there may be like a total of like 300 people at that time that throughout the whole course of it, you know, but we were determined to do it. And I think when you watch our content then, you can see through each episode we grow as filmmakers and how we budgeted ourselves with like nothing. Like literally each episode was like $300 to $400. And it was all about finding locations for free, you know, the right setting that we can shoot it in, you know, pulling favors, you know, having a crew that would come back. We literally had the same crew come back for 4 months every other weekend to shoot the project. And we did like I think we did 1 or 2 days each. I think we most tried to do it all in 1 day, but we sometimes did 2 days. But it was just an amazing thing to see us progress as we kind of started off together in this wonderful endeavor of growing as Gigi as a director, Luke as a cinematographer, and myself as like a producer. I'm just really like working with, you know, finding the next thing and really trying to running a show, even though it was super small scale. It really taught us how to be efficient and how to edit really fast, and how to sound design, and how to, you know, just do the whole thing super quick with a minimal crew, minimal budget, and, you know, still getting that product out in time. And you can actually see that online.
We love that.
It's actually called Choose Your Victim, and it's on Luchagore Productions.
I will link it down below as well.
Yes, we'll link that down below. And you can watch all 8 episodes in its glory, and you can definitely, you know, when I talk about how you can see the progression from the first episode all the way to the episode 8, you can see this really kind of weird shift in how we operate. And I look back at that and I thank that a lot. Like I really, you know, I I don't know if we would be here today if we didn't do that. Hey, Gigi? I really don't. Like, it really taught us a lot. And that was just outside of film school. But all the stuff that we learned in film school, we definitely did utilize to our advantage. Like I said, going back on being ready to do it, being determined, being motivated, and not giving up. I think that's one of the big things, not procrastinating, right?
I often say, like, just do something. One of the things that I often hear from people that are either in the industry, like starting out or wanting to get in the industry, is they're like, well, the script isn't perfect. It's just not right. It's just do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Because also, like, the other thing is your first 10 films, I think every filmmaker is going to look back on and be like, I could have done a billion things better and different. But you have to grow, and you only do that by growing, regardless of your educational background.
Yeah.
Like, every time I'm on set, I learn something new. I'm sure you're the same way.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that Gigi is. And, like, every time you're like, okay, you're putting more tools in your arsenal for future use. But, like, you can't get there unless you just freaking get her done.
Yeah.
You know, so write that idea down. Don't just keep it in your head. Send the script out. Get feedback. Rewrite it a dozen times, 24 times, 80 times, whatever. And then figure out how you're going to make it.
Yeah.
You know, and don't be precious, because, like, no decent filmmaker only ever has one idea. So you're going to have a million ideas. So figure out one that you can actually either raise funding for, or figure out, like you said, like, we'll put a couple $100. We're just going to get her done.
Yeah.
Do it. You know, you're going to learn so much through the process.
Oh, God.
And you're going to, here's the thing, like I said, if you're a filmmaker, you're going to have a lot more ideas. It's not like this is like the only idea you're ever going to have. And if you don't make it with $1 million budget, you know, you're never going to, like, do anything else.
No, exactly. If your script, is like, I need to make this for this X amount of money, and you're, you know, not well known enough, or you don't have the connections, or if you have somebody with deep pockets that's willing to give you the money, that's great. But majority of the time, you should always look at your budgets and build them around what you think you can make them for. And if you can finance it yourself, that's even better. But always, you know, it's always great to think big, I think, of course. Like, it's, you know, don't think so big that if you try to go make it, it doesn't look good. It just, you know, you have to know your limits and when you can do it. And if you have the right people that can help you push it forward a little bit more, I think that's great. But it's crazy. It's one of those things that, you know, each project you do is so different from the other, right? Unless you're doing like a continuing series, but usually you can find a formula within that. But if it's a different short film or a different story, it's you know, don't be married to your script. It's always going to change, just what Jessica said.
It is, especially if you don't have money. If money can solve problems to maintain whatever you want, but if you don't have money to solve a problem, you're gonna have to get creative.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Filmmaking is problem solving most of the time, because something goes wrong. Like, oh, we don't have enough time to get this scene or this shot, or you're changing the script drastically right on the day, and you're like, oh my God, this is not going to happen. And it will happen. It doesn't always happen, but eventually in your time, if you continue it enough, you will face times where you're going to have to cut stuff out, or, you know, cut dialogue out, or you're going to rewrite something on the fly because it's not working, or something happened with the location. Oh my God. There's so many variables when it comes to, you know, things going wrong, but things can go well too, though, right? It can be like bam, 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 like we're getting stuff. Finish early on the day. 8 hours instead of 12 hours would be great. But I think we've had that happen once.
You're lucky, yeah.
I know, right? Like, out of all the times that we've been filmmaking, it's like, oh, we're going to have like a 10-hour day. And we're like, you know, never say 8-hour day.
No, never.
It's only going to be an 8-hour day. Like, Yeah, it is.
You're like,
it's
no.
just a day.
That's going to be the day that you go to 16.
So you just say, no, we'll be done around this time. That's it.
Now, you mentioned that in film school you had to practice all aspects of filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about producing that you love? Because I believe that's your favorite position, is it not?
Yeah, like right now, you know, for producing, it was something that I've always loved to be on the creative, like, producing side, as well as, you know, breaking down budgets and stuff like that. That's the kind of more boring stuff, but I kind of find joy in doing it because, like, you're building the budget, you're building, you know, the days that you need to shoot, you know, how many people you're going to need on this day. It was something that I just really gravitated towards being very open with, and basically working with, you know, Gigi on our ideas, and Luke as well, of like, okay, like, we got this idea. Sometimes I'd be like, I got this location we can film at. And we would basically, like, just write a script around it, right? And then that's how we kind of started doing some of our smaller stuff. I would, you know, be working with Gigi, and like, okay, look, we could bounce these ideas around, say, okay, can we do this? And we're like, well, how much can we spend, right? I'm like, let's just say right now, $1,000. And then we would just start writing a script together. We'd all, pool in our thoughts, and then Gigi would go write something. If not Gigi, would our writer Shane as well. We would always be like, this is an idea. We need to make it around this. We got this much money. And then they would go and write it. And then I would be like, okay, look at it and be like, okay, we need to take this out. There's too much in here. Like, this is going to cost way too much. I'm like, what are we talking about? A bull's head ramming somebody in the face at like 1,000,000 miles an hour kind of thing, right? So, but I just enjoyed, being on that aspect of, working with the script development. And then once we got the script done, it was like, doing the casting and, doing the casting call sheets and, really working when we had, callbacks and casting sessions, really working with the directors and finding that right actor that's going to suit the role. And just also being very open with the vision with your director, I think is such a crucial thing as a producer. Obviously, you and the director are, the top two people. You also have to support the director, but also support the crew and the cast as well. And I found that I love that. I love being able to take care of everybody when I can. And I think that's a great job as a producer, is to, not an armchair producer. I'm not an armchair. I'd love to be very hands-on. I just always engaging with everybody and making sure everybody's okay and going back to like saying, do you need anything? Or like, how can we make this better kind of thing. I've always tried to instill that and, be very appreciative when we're shooting on the day. That like, that's something that I've always enjoyed. I don't know, my mom's always kind of said, treat others as you like to be treated, right? So, if you want to be a dick to people as a producer, like that just doesn't, to me, is not my thing, right? So
You're also Canadian, so it's
that's true too. That's true too. I've had my moments, I guess, but no, that's how I feel like I operate, and again, be very entrusting with the people that you have, that you hire, your team, your crew, and it's vetting every. If you have to vet people. And that's from your key departments all the way, usually you vet your key departments more than anything. And then they have their people they usually bring on. But, usually if you find the right people, they're going to always bring on good people. And they're always going to keep coming back. Because as long as you're treating them properly, that's how I always felt. That's like, they'll always kind of come back as long as they've always had a good time. And always to make sure the sets are always a fun time. Even when they can get crazy and long hours, I've always tried to make sure that people are still having a good time. And that goes into like, post-production, and we're always working together on, our edits and our cuts and, discussing, where the scene could go, if we changed it a little bit differently. So it's very heavily involved from basically the conception to the final product. That's, what I love to do as a producer. I'm really involved from the very bitter beginning. Basically, it's just a long relationship in every project, right? And then once it's done, you just break it up, and you're like, okay, sweet. We did it. We did a good job. We did an amazing job, and we can move on to the next one, right? So I've always, I just felt strongly about being as involved, highly involved as much as I can, without being a nuisance and an asshole.
So you graduated from your program. What was the first project that you worked on? Was it El Gigante? I love El Gigante.
Choose Your Victim.
Choose Your Victim. Okay, so sorry, I thought you mentioned you started that, but you started that during Gigi's education.
No, when they were finished too.
Okay.
Yeah, right when they graduated.
Never mind, I missed that. I thought it was like your year-end project. My apologies.
No. That was technically their year-end project.
Yeah. We had two end-year projects.
Well, they failed. They failed film school.
Yeah. We did Day of the Dead, and we did Choose Your Victim.
No, we did Choose Your Victim first.
Oh, okay. Choose Your Victim, then Day of the Dead, then El Gigante, then we graduated. Raynor, though, graduated way ahead of us.
But they had to do one more year.
Yeah, suckers.
They were stupid. But technically, for most people that have known our stuff and seen, really what kind of set us out was actually a short film, not a web series that we attempted. It was actually after Choose Your Victim. I think a really kind of calling card was Dia de los Muertos, and that we shot that in 2012. I think it was. God, it's been so long. And that was the whole stripper club, like Sugar Skull. All the strippers were dressed in Sugar Skull makeup, really colorful stuff, and it was about like women empowerment of taking on those fucking dirty piggish men that were going after them at that time, and it was just like this crazy moment of a huge bloodbath, and that one actually got picked up for an anthology, Mexico Barbaro.
The one that Gigi's on the cover of.
That's right. Her face is on the cover of that. And she still uses that to this day somewhere. I don't know. She took all the pictures of it, so. But yeah, like that one is something that you can actually still see on Netflix.
It was on Netflix?
I think it's on Netflix USA and
find
Canada.
it and we'll link it.
Yeah. Ours is actually the last episode. I highly recommend people to watch it. Like if you're into like very different kind of horror, and it's all about, Mexican horror legends and traditions. Some really cool ones on there, but obviously ours is really cool too. It's the last one. But I'm sure you will enjoy the other ones. If you don't, you can always just skip to ours. But I think that was the one that really kind of set us up. After we did Choose Your Victim, Dia de los Muertos was, the one that was like, okay, we learned all this from this series. Let's make a really cool short film. And Gigi had this amazing idea of like, I want to make this film with sugar skull girls and makeup and strippers and men getting beaten up. I said, that sounds really cool. And then we did.
I suspect there was a lot more to it. Although I love your Gigi impersonation because it sounds nothing
She always
like her.
makes fun of me somehow, some way, so.
But my impersonation sounds just like you.
Mm.
Fuck that.
I don't sound like that. But
Yes, you do.
when I'm angry.
Raynor's like you should put little emojis. Raynor sounds like Donald Duck, but like in real life.
Like the Canadian version?
The
Yeah,
Canadian
The
version?
Canadian, Japanese, Mexican version?
Yeah. Oh my god, how can I combine all that into one word? You can't.
Right? She did. She figured her own out.
Was it Japanixican? What?
Japanadian?
Japanadian?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I guess.
I feel like we're going to offend somebody.
Yeah. I am half Japanese, by the way, so it's okay. Yeah, so that was just something that, like, we kind of pulled, what we had learned with Choose Your Victim, on, like, directing and producing. That was, like, Dia de los Muertos. We had, like, 30 background. No, we had, like, I think at the time it was, like, almost 30 cast in total. And it was like 70 crew or something like that too. No, sorry, not 70. It was like 50 crew.
Wow.
So when we shot that over 3 days, and it was a big project. It was like 15 minutes long. And that was a lot of work that went into it. Especially we had a lot of gore effects. We had a lot of blood. We had like one big stripper stage that we had to build like a week before we shot. And I remember like slaving away. Like that's when, again, wearing many hats. I had to do the production design on that as well. I made sure I take care of all the producing. And then, I was like, okay, well, this is all sorted out. I'm like, okay, now we got to build this set. I was like literally heading down to like Home Depot and like picking up all this lumber and like building these sets, building these walls. And then like at the end when we had all the set built, it was going into painting. And it was just like, it was literally down to the wire. I think I had one of our friends come down and do a huge mural of a naked chick in the background. Wasn't that Gigi? Wes. Yeah, he did that. It was crazy. It drained the crap out of me, but it was very intense. But I was so happy that, once we kind of were shooting on the first day of shooting, and we had all the lights because Luke had lit it already, and these lights just coming on, and it's just like it looked like a strip club. We were in a strip club, and we had all these amazing talent as strippers, and all the dirty men that were just greasy looking, and we were in a bar in Tijuana or something like that. Where was it supposed to be, Gigi? I can't remember.
Yeah, Border Town, but it was
Border
in
Town.
high school.
Yeah.
And the teacher walked in.
Oh, yeah.
The teacher walked in because I didn't tell the teacher what we were filming. And I was sneaking in VFS students still. And they're like, what are you filming? Naked girls walking all over the hallways and VFS students. That's when Luke and I got in big trouble. It was so worth it.
Yeah.
How much big trouble?
Like,
Well, they already
pretty
finished
big
school,
trouble.
so
We were almost done school, but then we had to really convince the school to film El Gigante there.
Yeah.
So you produced it. Did you guys how did you raise the funding for this one? Was there a crowdfund? Did you sell
For
it?
El Gigante?
No,
Or for Dia de los Muertos?
Yes.
No, the school funded.
The school funded that one, actually.
Yeah.
Gigi and
It
Luke.
was the chosen project.
Gigi and Luke, yeah, they had a...
So did they not realize that there was naked women in it, or was like the script that you gave them?
Oh yeah, I didn't tell them the detail.
Okay.
It was just like girls basically beat men in a bar. I think they decided to leave out the whole stripper aspect, that they would be, scantily cladded and dressed, and basically nothing. There's no nudity, but they were pretty close. It was funny that.
I feel like what we're learning here is go to school in Canada if you want to be a filmmaker. Also, American.
They're not going to say no.
American universities are much more expensive.
Yeah.
Significantly so. I've actually known people who will go to. It's cheaper for them to pay to pay out of pocket and not be able to work, because you can't work if you just go to school, and go to school in Canada because it's so much cheaper. It's like $5,000 versus $50,000.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I know for. I don't know if it's still like that, but I know international students that go to Vancouver Film School have to pay double.
Yeah, same here. Same,
Okay.
But even then, so when I went to school, and this is going back in mid 2000s, it was $5,000 or $6,000 for my tuition. So if you were American, it was doubled. But then the comparable program at Parsons in New York was like $75,000 a year and up. And then you still had to pay to live. You still had to do everything. So we had some American students where their parents were like, hell yeah, we'll pay double. We'll put you up. You'll live on a budget. It's cheaper for us to spend $35,000 a year for your education and you not work than for us to pay $75,000 just for your tuition, not including dorm, books, supplies.
It's so crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's hard for some people to do it too, right? So again, if you can't afford it, I think it's, again, there's so much research you can do online, right? And like I said, there's so much, you can go buy a cheap little camera at Best Buy or whatever, B&H, for nothing nowadays. And you can just, practice in your home and, try to mimic scenes in shows or, copy them in a sense, and just try to find that and just work with it before you really try to do something. Or finding an actor or some of your friends, just really kind of looking at that. And it's crazy. Tuition's crazy nowadays. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore.
So after that, you went on to do El Gigante, which obviously, that was the first time I saw anything that you guys had done, and it blew me away. I thought it was so fantastic. I saw it at a bunch of festivals in 2014. So what was it about that project that drew you to it?
El Gigante? Funny enough, I think it was the year before, we were actually at a film festival in LA, and we got introduced to John Skip. And I don't know, for people that don't know John Skip, he was one of the writers on Nightmare on Elm Street. And he watched Dia de los Muertos, and basically had said at the end of it, he's like, this show's really, I really love your short film. He's like, I really like your guys' style. You just have this unique kind of world building, really gritty texture. I think you might enjoy talking or meeting a writer I know, because they do a lot of splatterpunk horror, right? So, and he's like, his name's Shane McKenzie. And he's like, he's never really written a short, he's never really, nothing to do with film yet, but I think you should read his book called Muerte con Carne. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. So long story short, John Skip basically quick introed us to Shane, and Shane was like, oh, really cool. He saw our short film, and he was just like, I'm going to send you guys my book. And a week later, he sent us this book. Literally, Gigi read it first, and it's like, okay, you gotta read this. And I said, okay, we need to talk to Shane, right now. And literally, can we talk to you, Shane? And we were like, he's like, yeah, sure. And then we're like, we loved your book. We want to make this into a movie. And he's like, really? And he was so excited. He's like, oh my God, I've never had anybody want to make anything of mine. And I was like, no, Shane, this book is really cool. And we're like, obviously, we can't make the feature yet, but would you be okay with us, working on doing a short version of it so we can try to get it made into a feature? And he was just like, oh my God, I've never, he was just so excited. And so okay, cool, let's do it. And he was so gung-ho about it. And we're like, okay, how are we gonna actually do this? What can we take out of the book and make a short film out of it? So we basically decided on using the first chapter, which is actually called El Gigante. And it works so well enough, we're like, oh my God, this is perfect. So we worked with Shane and basically kind of taught him, as a writer, as a novel writer, and kind of a comic book writer. He already had an understanding of writing, but it was just doing the format of filmmaking, writing, screenplay writing. We had to kind of give him a little hand on. And yeah, we wrote the short film. It was beautiful. We were all excited. We're like, okay, how are we going to make this? And then that's when we kind of did our second, Kickstarter campaign, where we were like, okay, let's you know, the first time wasn't good, but like let's try to do it again. Now Shane had a little bit of a name with some of his previous novels and books that he's had out, and you know we had a little bit of a name too because we had traveled some film festivals, and you know we're slowly getting in there. So we opted to go to Kickstarter. We were trying to raise $5,000, and I think by the time that the Kickstarter campaign ended, we actually raised over $3,000 more than we originally were asking for. So for $5,000, we went to $8,000. And we actually had some backing from the school. They believed in us again for the next project, that they actually lent us their equipment, camera, lights. They saw that, you know, we were moving on up, and we were actually very vocal within the schooling system to basically say, like, you should continue to support filmmakers if they have an idea. And they did. They listened to it, and they were basically like, yeah, we'll help you out. So that, you know, helped us out a lot. We basically got some free stuff out of it. And yeah, we shot this El Gigante to make it look like we're in like a southern border down Texas, and we shot that out just outside of Vancouver in this, you know, industrial park that was basically slowly getting developed into buildings.
What?
Yeah.
So I know El Gigante is not available for your viewing pleasure, unfortunately.
Not yet, but we do have an announcement on that sooner or later. It will be going somewhere.
Begging for a combination
I know,
DVD from you lovely folks.
I know.
Like begging. I don't know if you saw Gigi's interview, but like everybody wanted to know, why haven't you done a DVD? And even if you think you don't have enough content, what I was saying to Gigi is I would love to see you guys just like make a drinking game while watching it. Put that as a special feature. You can literally, I'll film it. Like, it's fine. We'll just figure out a drinking game while watching your movies, and then that'll be a special feature. And then like a making of, like even if you're just talking about it, inserting pictures. Like I would watch 3 of your shorts with you guys doing a drinking game to them and also discussing the process 110%. I would take my money, I'll pay you $50 for a Blu-ray for that all day long. Like you should totally do that.
Yeah, we've actually kind of tossed that around of like doing like a Luchagore compilation of like all of our films, and you know, kind of it'd literally be like over like an hour and a half of content.
But that'd be great.
There's a couple films that, so one for instance, El Gigante, it is coming out soon. It's a TBA, which we're really excited about. I just don't think we can actually say it yet, but when it does, we'll be letting everybody know, and it'll be available to watch at any time, anywhere, and but yeah, besides that, I think it's something that we should do. So if people are excited about that and want to see something like that, you know, hit it up on Jessica's platform here, and we'll gauge it, because yeah, I think it's something that we should actually really consider, because I'd be really cool to, you know, do like you said, like a behind the scenes talk and kind of commentate over top of some of our stuff. And,
oh my god, I'd love to see a commentary. That'd be so much fun.
On all the short films and how we all fought at each other somewhere, on some shows. Hey, Gigi.
So after that, what was next for you?
Oh, so after El Gigante, you know, we actually traveled quite a bit across the world.
Yeah, it played all over the place.
Like, it got into a lot of the horror film festivals. That's when we really started, you know, getting our name out there, and we ended up actually at Fantasia in Montreal, at the Frontiers. We actually got Gigante in the Frontiers market.
So for those of you who don't know, the market component is where basically certain filmmakers are selected based upon the quality of their projects and the people involved to come and basically pitch to distributors, production companies, etc. With the whole goal of it is trying to find team members to help make that vision into a reality.
It was basically,
so it's very selective. It's the best of the best. Frontiers and Fantasia are some. Fantasia is one of the all-time best festivals in the world, in my humble opinion. Mitch and his team are phenomenal, and they have raised the bar really high.
Oh, they have.
And of course, you wonderful folks were lucky enough to go there with El Gigante, the feature.
Yes. And yeah, it was kind of like our first big experience into like this industry platform world, and we were like, oh my god! Like when we found out we got in, we were like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? Like this is big for us, right? And I think when we got down there, everything just kind of went, you know, super calm and relaxed. And I was like, oh, okay, I was totally overhyping ourselves because we had to pitch in front of all these industry professionals. And I was like, oh my god, we're gonna die. And no, we nailed the pitch. You know, we had some great meetings and great feedback, but at that time, it wasn't, you know, Gigante's time to shine. You know, we made some great connections that we were working with people today from it.
But at the time, if I can it was announced it was getting made into a feature.
It was. We actually
attended.
We still have.
But life happens.
Yeah. So we actually had some distribution picked up for it, but at that time, things got kind of thrown back, and which kind of led into what we did after that was the big one, which is La Quinceañera.
Which I can never pronounce. I was waiting for you to bring that up because I was like, don't make me try to say it.
It's okay. I had to say it so many times before Gigi corrected me. He's like, you keep saying it wrong. So I finally have it instilled in me where I'm basically saying it. La Quinceañera. She hasn't corrected me, so I guess I said it right. So,
which was a big. It was a Warner Brothers.
It was a Warner Brothers Stage 13's, new digital platform that they were coming out, and I think right around the time where we were like, oh my god, like, what are we gonna do with Gigante? Like, nothing's moving, and then we get this random email where it's like, oh hey, I'm from Warner Brothers. We're looking at this new platform. We really liked what your previous work was, El Gigante, and would you be interested in talking to us? And Gigi at the time thought it was a joke, and she had to send me the email. I was like, oh, well, let's respond back and let's find out. And then, a couple emails later, we're like, okay, well, this still sounds kind of right. And then they're like, okay, we're going to have a Skype meeting so we can, talk in person and, meet, at least on screen to screen. And I'm like, okay, well, this must be going somewhere. And then, we had like that meeting that day, and it was like, their screen came up and it was like this huge WD logo sign in the back. Like, oh, okay, I guess this is real. And they were just that. They were really adamant on us working with them, and our vision and our kind of motto on how we did horror films. They were really looking at new talent, which I thought was really cool. They're giving a voice to new talent, and that's when La Quinceañera was created. Shane had come up with this idea where this 15-year-old girl basically witnesses her family get massacred, and her abuela are left to take vengeance on the cartel kind of thing, right?
I love that.
And that was it. It just got made, and it was crazy. Like that was like one of the craziest experiences that I've ever had. Especially for a new startup, for a new platform, there was a lot on the plate to get that made.
Oh, I have no doubt. It looks phenomenal. I missed the screenings. It did do a festival run.
It did.
Do we have any update on the plans for its release?
That one's still to be announced as well.
Which is it's so funny because I'm always telling the fans, like, once you do your project, then it's usually out of the filmmaker's hands.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly, and that's where it's at right now. We actually did at one point.
Like, if it was up to the filmmaker, we would just release everything as soon as we're done.
I would.
Right?
I would definitely do that. But yeah, so we're trying to find the right home for it right now. But just, don't give up on it yet. We will, once that kind of gets known and solidified in where it needs to be, we'll definitely be pushing that one out as fast as we can. So
now, so far we've talked about your collaborations with Gigi and the team. That being said, you work with other people.
I do.
So we should talk about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think I'm going to love them as much as I love Gigi. But no shade, no tea. I'm a big supporter of independent films, so I'd love to know who else you're working with.
Yeah,
and other stuff that you have going on currently. Also, if there's another project since the movie that I can't pronounce now, like aside from, I know you guys did just finish another short, and I believe it's doing the festival rounds, or it just did.
The Call just won.
The call was the one that we just did last year as well. So besides not just working with, Luchagore and stuff like that, I think one of my goals too is, to find, obviously new talent that we can also bring on board for directors and stuff like that, and expand our company and expand our name. But it's also, again, finding people that have that voice and that vision that, again, as a producer, I can work with and collaborate, not just stay micromanage, but I want to be able to help them get them where they need to be as well, just like what Gigi and myself have done together, right? And really believing in her and her projects and her ideas and her vision, even though she would always fight me on everything. But not everything. But we had our quarrels. It was funny. But yeah, so one of the directors I'm working with on right now, his name's Jeremy Letter, and he's done some amazing content throughout his time as filmmaking. And this is the guy that, again, didn't go to film school, self-taught himself, did his research, You know, he just kept making short films and kept growing with it. And a lot of his stuff has been traveled all over the world. One of his most successful films that he made was actually called Joanna Makes a Friend, and that's one of the projects that I'm working with him on right now. It's basically a kid's coming of age, movie that I feel like it needs to be made. And he kind of gave up on it, and I was like, I'm the one that kind of opened Pandora's box for him, as he says. Just so he's like, I gave up on this thing a long time ago. Why are you making me come out? I said, it's 2019, man. I'm like, we got to get this back in here somehow, some way. I feel that, this idea that you and his writer had needs to be kind of brought back to life again. So, as my job as a producer too is to really find the belief in these scripts and say, can we make this? Is it marketable? Is it something that we can take with us to LA or Vancouver or Toronto or anywhere that we can find it's a home or in the right hands of people? Is something that we've been definitely actively trying to do. But I definitely love to work with new people, and again, it's about finding that relationship bonding with anybody you kind of first meet, and you got to work with them a little bit to really understand if you can continue this. And so I'm slowly opening my doors to that as much as I can, and looking to see what other talent there is, and then really bringing them on board with all of our stuff as well. So yeah.
So what projects do you have coming up that you're most excited about?
For the people that have seen La Quinceañera, we actually are finished writing the season 2 script for La Quinceañera, and we're really excited about where that's going to take it. I'm really excited if we do make it. I'm hoping that's going to move on. We're going to find out pretty quick on it. But that's one of the bigger ones that we're excited to go back and revisit Alejandra and the rest of the remaining family that's still in the show. Was something that it was our big baby then when we first got it, right? We're really excited about that one. And then I have a couple other features that we got in the works that we're developing. Actually, I'm actually heading this year again to the Frontiers Market with a project called We Came from the Sea. As Jessica was saying, it's very hard to get into. We actually tried last year with another project of ours with Gigi and myself, and we actually did not get accepted. But we ended up going down as industry professionals because it's a great market to attend and a great networking environment.
I love that you mentioned that, because I love the fact that I feel like oftentimes when you're on a good streak, or when it looks to the public that you're on a streak, like you're playing festivals, people think that everything's super easy. I have found that the more success you have, the harder everything gets.
Yeah.
Now, you also, like, your standard of what you expect becomes higher, so that also gets harder to reach. But I also just find, like, there's not a lot of shortcuts when you don't have money. Like, I think if you have, like, if you're inherit money, I think everything gets easier. But short of that, I don't think it gets a lot easier. Yeah. And I think things like that where I think there's probably people that would assume because you've gotten in before, because Gigi is, like, really hot right now, because all of these factors that, of course, you would automatically be grandfathered in. And the fact that you're not, I don't know about you, it also makes me respect and want to support that festival and that market all the more. And also the other thing that I look at, it doesn't mean the project wasn't good, it just wasn't a good fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
exactly.
it's not, people take things so personally, and I'm like, it's not like they're insulting your mother.
No, they're not. And they plan very well and choose the projects very well onto, how they feel, they can give the right voice to these projects. And they only chose 20, right?
Yep.
We're the only people from British Columbia, Canada, going there. We're the only people from the West Coast. Yeah.
Who is the director on that project?
Jeremy.
Gotcha.
Jeremy
Awesome.
Letter. Jeremy Letter is the one on it. So him and me will be going down. We'll be pitching our heart outs once again. Trying to sell the project. But, it's something that, this is the process you want to do. There's tons of markets that you can go to pitch your film. And, you don't just need to go to a distributor or financier. You have these places where you can pitch, and if you have all these industry people within, somebody will eventually maybe look at it and be like, okay, I see the potential in this, right? And not to always say you're always going to get finance, and that doesn't always happen, but I think the biggest thing to come out of it is meeting those connections with people.
Of course.
I think one of the biggest things I found is that for the years I have gone down there, and this will be our second time pitching, but I've gone down there a few more times before that, and I've met the same people over and over again. But it's just like, I've gotten to know them now, before at the beginning. So I'm hoping eventually at one point it's like they know me well enough that we can work together, right? And so just off first impressions, they've seen me continually over the years pursuing what I'm doing, and they say, okay, well, this guy is really adamant about producing something. Let's see what we can do, kind of thing, right? You just never know what the opportunity may arise, I think.
When I always say you want to have a relationship ideally with someone before you ask them for a favor.
Exactly.
Right? Too many times I find people in LA often don't get that, where it's like you just meet someone, they're like, here's what you could do for me. And it's like, no, I don't know you.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have enough hours in the day to help out the people that I've known for 10 years who I love. Like, why am I going to help you? And it's like building that relationship, building that rapport, and also setting the standard of, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, this is what I'm passionate about, I work my ass off to make quality work, hopefully you can join my team, I think is very different than allow you to do me a favor.
Yeah, no, exactly. I don't operate that way either. It's one of those things that you got to keep pushing hard, and hopefully people are going to recognize, right? So it's something that, this project that we're taking to Frontiers, We Came from the Sea, was something that really, really resonated with me, as well as the director and the writer who wrote it. It's really kind of a, not topical story, but it's, really based on addiction, but it's set in a horror setting. And it's something that, I don't really want to give away too much, but we actually do have a short film of it as well. But I wish I could say I could show you guys that right now at the moment, but it is running the festival circuit. So when we do announce, we will post.
Well, I'm sure I'll share a poster.
Yeah.
Whenever I have time.
Actually, I can send you a poster as well. I'll send you a poster for that one.
Poster.
But yeah, so it's that's what we're doing right now, and hopefully to keep going, and a bunch of meetings and all that stuff. So typical stuff, as a filmmaker, and just trying to connect and have meetings and seeing what's going on. But I got three big projects hopefully to keep going.
I love that. Now, I'm going to ask some random questions about our conversation, so just bear with me.
Yeah.
Because there are some things that I'm curious about. So my theory is usually, I'm curious, you're probably curious. So what is the number one tip for people doing crowdfunds that you learned after doing a failed campaign and then having one that exceeded your expectations?
Oh, God. So, yeah, I think one of the biggest things is to be very interactive with the people that be getting directed towards your Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I don't know how many other ones there are now, but yeah, mainly those are the two biggest ones. I think you're very straight and poignant to what you are trying to sell or what you're trying to get out of people. And obviously if your rewards are reasonable enough that they're going to be enticed to, finance it. But I think as a filmmaker, you definitely need to sell yourself, because that's the biggest thing when you go into big pitch meetings is you're really selling yourself. You have to be excited about it. You have to be very, very into it. One of the things that I find with some people, if they're just like, well, it's just this film I want to make. It's about a guy and a girl, and it doesn't entice me. You gotta be energetic about it, and really gotta sell it, even if it's a small one-liner hook, and with a little bit of a background detail on it. We want to know. We want to be sold. I want to be sold that I want to throw money your way, not just as a filmmaker, but to your film and your story. I think it's something that you need to be really putting that effort into, and again, engaging with the people that are looking on your website, on your Kickstarter page, or whatever funding page that you're on, is to be very engaged and promoting it. And everybody knows and gets flamed with Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and they're saying, check out my Indiegogo campaign. It can be annoying and it can seem redundant, but it is one of those things. If you get enough people to help share it, you can get more people to look at it, and hopefully drive traffic towards your page. So it's something that we didn't have that at the time. We didn't know that on our first campaign. We were just like, okay, we'll just get it out and see if people come to it, right? And then we realized that you got to self-promote it. You're not going to do it. If you can get websites to help you promote it, or if you know people in your local newspaper to say, hey, these local filmmakers are trying to make this film. Would you consider? Try to direct traffic towards it as much as you can. I don't really know if paid Facebook advertised ads really work too well on it, but
I think paid.
like
yes,
$5 or $2.
I think that
like
anytime you go into paid advertising, it's a dangerous territory, especially on Facebook. There's actually a bunch of people who just believe that Facebook, rather than engaging in reach, just throws a bunch of fake people on your page, which then decreases your organic reach, which causes you to have to spend more money on advertising. Because it's tricky. It's all this. It's a big picture issue.
Yeah.
But I think like nobody should be paying for advertising unless you're like on Facebook. You should be on all active pages. Ideally, doing 3 to 5 posts a day. If you're doing a crowdfund campaign, a lot more than that.
Oh yeah.
You should be responding to everything. I usually advise people doing crowdfunds to have at least 2 people working 8 hours a day, 7 days a week for the month of the campaign, 2 weeks prior and 2 weeks after.
Oh yeah.
At least, and that's 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, not 5.
It's
and
a lot of work.
2 people, and that's bare minimum. So that being said, I think if you've already got that doing, then you can play around with advertising. If you're already, making properly, formatted posts that are tagging your actors and your crew that are appropriate with high resolution images that are like 30%-ish contrast, because that's going to get the highest reach on social media, with some video and some live stream. Like there's so many other things you can do, I think, before you get to the paid point.
Oh yeah.
Before that's even like comes into play.
Yeah, because we haven't really done the Facebook ad stuff too much. But
Facebook is a tricky beast. I don't trust Facebook.
I don't really either. I find it's just it can be wonky and crazy.
That's still why I like Twitter. I get the highest reach on my Twitter.
Yeah.
And I find like Twitter is just very much like if people follow you, they're gonna see it. It's gonna pop up in their feed. It's not like about like right now Facebook, if you have a page, it's gonna push out to 2% or less, and depending upon the engagement, which they've never released the numbers on, like what is good engagement, what is bad, depending upon that engagement, it'll push out incrementally to the other people.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah. I don't know. The algorithms and all that stuff just mind boggle me. So
last year, YouTube had over 200 algorithm changes
that
they did not detail, but they posted notice every time they released. Over 200. Yep, and it's speculated that Facebook, Instagram had even more. So that's how rapidly it's changing.
I know, you got to keep up with it. But yeah, even just like I said, it's like you should have somebody dedicated if you really are committed to it. Depending on how much money you're looking to, raise, right?
Like $500, I don't think you need that, but like $10,000 and above.
I think, totally. And again, being on time with your perks and
yes.
rewards. I think if you obviously say, hey, on certain things may take a little bit longer, but you got to be at least in touch with the people and just don't forget about it, because people are gonna want the rewards. And it happened to us. We got bogged down and we forgot like 1 or 2 people, and they said, hey, like what's going on? And I totally apologize for it, but like you don't want to do that. People have given you money and to make your film. You got to be respectful back, and definitely honor what you are offering for them as a perk and reward. So
I also love that you guys support other Kickstarters. I see you and Gigi promoting others. I know for a fact that you've contributed to several that I know for a fact. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so nice that you give as well as
you got to give. I think the biggest thing is you got to give back, right? We've had so many people help us out, and we've helped out some of our friends that went on to make their own films, and they got us in the wrong time sometimes, but we finally had a time where like, okay, we'll help you out. And we can't because we don't have anything to do, which was nice. But I was like, it was a good change of pace for us, and to help them out because they have helped us out in so many projects. It was the only thing, really to repay it back. Unless I had, a stack full of cash, a handful of cash. And it's like, I'm owing you guys back the time, right? But no, you got to give back too, right? If we're progressing too, is like, we want to help if we can, as much as we can, to help other people grow. It's just, obviously timing is always going to be crucial, but the more you grow and get busier, it becomes harder. But, I just always try to remember those people that, if we do make something big, I'm going to bring them back. If it's a huge paying gig, I'm going to fight for them to come back. So that's my thing. Is like, I want our crew back as much as possible. If we're having to shoot in Vancouver, that's our team. Like, that's who we are. That's what made Luchagore too, as well. It's a lot of the team that has stuck around to this day. So, yeah.
So, what does your family think about your career?
I think as everybody's parents are like, you're taking filmmaking, like, what do you think you're doing? Like, you're gonna make money? I'm just like, okay. I had to kind of like lay it out and said, look, they were supportive. Yeah, at the beginning, they were like, okay, well, you're doing it, like, you gotta try it out. And I said, look, even after film school, it's gonna take some time. Like, I'm not gonna be, a celebrity or, making tons of money right out of school. It's going to build his time, right? And I think, you know, they were like, okay, well, sure, you know, things are going to take time. We're going to learn. You know, I was going to try to get some jobs and stuff like that. But like, really, what we did was we focused on ourselves. We focused on our company and building our own brand, right? So it was like, I was doing some commercial work at the same time, but I was really focused on Luchagore. So I wasn't making a ton of money at the beginning. You know, I was just basically working to, you know, pay rent, pay for food, and pay for our shoots and stuff like that. And my parents were like, "Are you sure this is the right industry you want to be in?" Like, you know, it seems to me like you're making a lot of money. And I was like, no, like, this is what I want to do. And like, you know, you can't let people deter you away from it, right? But then they started seeing the quality of work we were doing, and they're like, okay, well, like, you know, you guys are really doing something. Like, you're onto a path, right? And yeah, they just have been super supportive, and they totally understand the process. And you know, I think at 5 years, we did La Quinceañera with Warner Brothers. That was like our a 5-year goal. I think that was a really cool, you know, establishment in our career and our time frame to be at that state, right? And some people don't get that opportunity. You know, everybody has their own path. We have our own path. We kind of sailed our own path of making short films and making short films. I think by the time how many short films we made, we probably could have made a feature, but I don't know how good it would have been, right? So, but again, we just really focused on crafting ourselves as much as we can on each project to project until we finally got that big one. And really was, okay, let's shine it. Let's do it as, you know, good quality and just, you know, really try to impress as many people as we can, because, you know, we actually finally got money. We got studio money to make a film, which was great. And it was a crazy experience to you know, be looking at like how much money we had. We're like, oh my God, it was actually happening, right? I think it was like I think I showed Gigi at one point. I was like, look how much money we got. Obviously it wasn't going to us, it was going towards production, but it was just like, we have the resources, we have the backing.
You're no longer working through the weeks to pay for the weekend shoots.
Yeah, and my parents were they were so excited about that. They were just like, okay, I guess you did do something. So, but they still are, right? They always, my mom always bugs me, like, what's going on next? Why are you going down to LA? Like, what projects do you, she's getting so lost because I have so many things tied into myself now. She's just like, I'll just let me know when it comes out now. Pretty much, are you shooting something? But yeah, they're super supportive.
She can just check your IMDb.
I know. She doesn't, she's too old school for that. But yeah, so they're, you know, my family, all of my family is actually very supportive. Not just my parents, you know, my aunts and my uncles, my sister. Yeah, they're all seem to understand. So
that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you think is the biggest difference between Canadian and American independent film scenes? And I know that's a little bit of a big ask because you probably have the most experience at festivals, I would think, and less like as far as like working here. But I think you get to know the people.
You know what's funny? It's like, because I've talked to, you know, obviously we have some good American friends that, you know, have had some great film successes out here with their shorts, and then obviously our Canadian side. I don't know if it's just like us Vancouver people are really kind of bond together and, you know, really work on supporting each other. But I've had some, you know, that our friends tell us, you know, the people that they've worked with out in the States haven't been the greatest. Some have had hard times of, you know, making their projects be good, and, you know, maybe they're not supporting them as enough. But like, I feel like I kind of get the sense that like everybody out in the States sometimes is out for themselves, but like at the same time, it's not like that, you know?
I like to say that everybody in LA has an ulterior motive. It's just a matter of not whether or not that motive aligns with yours.
Yeah. No, and I find that can be, but I don't think like it's 100% right to say in a sense, right? But I do think that you can find that core group of people that are going to work with you and work within your vision and, you know, help create it, because you know what? They're going to want to work with you again, right? And then not just on one project, hopefully on many more. And if you can definitely, you know, show them that they're important, they're going to come back, just like how it is back in Vancouver and Canada in general. It's like, I think there's a lot of great people that can support you and still continue to support you without expecting something in return. But as long as they see that you're moving on something forward, and I would hope that if you did move on forward, that you'd still remember those people and bring them back or help them in some way, you know?
I think that's very uncommon in America.
Yeah.
I have not experienced that.
No?
And you'd be shocked at how many times people like beg for a favor, and then you're like, hey, by the way, can I be considered for casting?
And like,
you know, you're finally, you know, paying something. And yeah.
They're like, no. Yeah. See, and that happens out in Vancouver, though.
It does, but I feel like Vancouver's such a smaller town. It's like a big city, but like the film world feels
It's
so
small.
much
It's like a small family community.
Yeah,
But so if somebody tries to screw you over, you know who it is pretty quick. So.
Yeah, and everybody else does too.
Yeah. Word gets around.
And they're all very Canadian about it. Like everyone's very PC, but they'll be like, "Well, I probably won't work with that person again." But
Exactly.
now, hold on. I had one more question. Damn it, where was it? Where did it go? Oh, your best piece of advice for anybody wanting to do what you do now?
Oh, this is my advice that Gigi always uses. I think my biggest advice, and you know, it can be broad, but you know, I always say that don't be afraid of failure. Don't give up on it. Push hard, research. As a producer, it's something that you have to be, that front man for the show, for your director, for everybody, your cast, your crew. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to have to be problem solving and putting out fires all the time as a producer. And I think that's what makes good producers, to be able to, dabble their hands in every aspect of filmmaking and the production on all sides, from screenwriting to prep to production to post-production to wrap. And just knowing as much as you can physically retain when you first start off, but it gradually it sticks with you. Let's just put it that way. And is that, just don't be overwhelmed by it, and sometimes it can be, but always know that you're there to finish it and see it throughout. I've never given up on any of the projects that I've done, even though there's been times we felt like we want to. I've always stuck through it, and I've always been pleased at the outcome. And I never want to. We've failed in some of our previous stuff, but I don't think that's a failure. It's just I've learned from those mistakes, and I've pushed forward and I've adapted to grow with it and be a better filmmaker outside of that. So, just never give up. Don't be afraid of failure.
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so very much for joining us. This concludes my interview with Raynor Shima. Thank you so very much for joining us. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, yes.
Yes, you did.
Score. Now, obviously, you guys can hit the links down below. You can follow Scream Queen Stream on Facebook, Twitter, and also 10 billion bonus points if you join the Patreon, which is where you can donate a couple of bucks a month and contribute the channel. That being said, where can they find out more about you?
So, my name, Raynor Shima. I guess I can cut that out. Sorry, I don't know why I said that.
No, it's adorable.
Anybody can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm not as vocal on Twitter as much as I should be, but I am on there, and I do.
Do you have a fan page or just a regular page on Facebook?
Just a regular page.
Oh, cool.
On Facebook.
So spam his personal page.
Yeah, you can just spam my personal thing. And then also for our company, Luchagore Productions, which is on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook
and
as
YouTube.
well. And YouTube, and also Vimeo as well. I'm online somewhere, somehow, some way, posting something.
And best of luck in all your current
Thank you so
productions.
much.
I cannot wait to see what you do next.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm really excited to share the rest of the world that, what we got going on with Luchagore and what I have outside of that as well. So
Awesome. Thank you.
thank you.